Our gospel lesson this morning is the gospel according to Matthew, chapter 5, verses 21 through 37. It is found on page 786 in your Pew Bibles, and I invite you to read along. Now we continue with our study of Matthew as Jesus continues to teach the crowds and, most importantly, his disciples. Jesus has ministered to and healed hundreds. He has turned the world upside down by transforming what the idea of blessedness really is through the Beatitudes. He has called us to be as valuable as salt and light. But now he is getting down to the real issues of this particular society. Infighting, jealousy, and ongoing disputes, the breakdown of the marriage covenant, swearing by pagan symbols and programs, retaliation, and so on. Now, while Matthew hits us with one of these after the other like a Gatling gun, more likely Jesus addressed these over a long period of time as they organically grew out of discussion and conversation. Jesus' self-assured authority would have been disarming at best. Even the most learned rabbi would never have presumed to know or speak of the mind of God in this way. They would always say, there is a passage that says, there is a scripture that says. And what is telling is that instead of challenging Jesus' authority as he speaks in this way, it is recognized by all as true. Jesus' new standards are as startling now as they were to his original audience. He is getting right to the heart of our oppositional attraction as humans to both good and evil. Let us listen for the word of the Lord. Matthew is speaking.
You have heard that it was said to those of ancient times, you shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or sister, you will be liable to judgment. And that if you insult a brother or sister, you will be liable to the council. And if you say, you fool, you will be liable to the hell of fire. So when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother or sister, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are on the way to the court with him, or your accuser may hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you will be thrown into prison. Truly I tell you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one of your members than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one of your members than for your whole body to go into hell. It was also said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that anyone who divorces his wife, except on the grounds of unchastity, causes her to commit adultery, and whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Again you have heard that it was said to those of ancient times, you shall not swear falsely, but carry out the vows you have made to the Lord. But I say to you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let your word be yes, yes, or no, no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one. May God add blessing to the reading and hearing of God's holy word.
My friend was actually jumping on the other end of the phone. She was so excited. I've done it! I've done it! I've finally done it! You have to come see right away. You have to come see. Her voice was so filled with pride and accomplishment. What was this big miracle that she had performed? Well, she had finally harnessed the chaos that was her house. With a busy family, with many interests, with little time, her house was continually awash in papers, clutter, unfinished projects, outgrown or unseasonable clothing, toys, books. You get it. There was no judgment from me about the state of her house. I only am concerned about my own struggle with my own house. But this is something that she complained about and was upset about day after day after day. I don't think a week went by before there was some comment about it. She daily fought with an emotional battle of tossing back and forth. I want a clean and organized house. I want a more simple life. Oh, I don't want to do it. I don't think I can do it. It's too much work. It was a constant source of guilt and angst and unhappiness. Not that there hadn't been many attempts. There had. But each one ended in failure. So of course, I went right over to celebrate with her. This was going to be fun. And when I walked in, wow! It was a big change. She'd moved the sofa from one side of the room to the other one. She put chairs where the sofa had been. She put a new table there. She painted a wall. There were bins and labels with where books had been on the bookshelf. She even put a new rug on the floor. Looked totally different. It was really pretty. And so we celebrated. It was wonderful. But a week later, she called me sobbing at the other end of the phone. My house is a mess again. In fact, it's worse than before, and no one will help me. I am such a failure. I am such a bad person. What's the matter with me? Why do I keep doing this wrong? Why can't I do this? Sounds a little bit like the people to whom Jesus was speaking. You see, his edicts kind of curled our ears. It was a little shocking. He takes the usual commandments and he adds yet another layer of compliance. And not as a suggestion, but with an authority that supersedes all the others, as if the original commandments were not enough for us. It makes us want to turn the page, throw up our hands, or give up. Now, that doesn't apply to me. Are you kidding? I mean, not only are we not to murder, we could probably gather that one, but we can't even get angry and don't even think about calling somebody a name or harboring a grudge. We're not even supposed to give our offerings to God in that state. Well, that lets us all off the giving hook now, doesn't it? But it seems a little incongruent to God's love and care and welcome. And if we do have a grievance, we have to settle it before we even get to the court. And not only are we not to commit adultery, we are not even to think desirous thoughts about another woman. Now, I got to tell you that this is only to men at that stage of life. Women were just chattel. They had no rights or whatsoever. So it was really just for the men. And also this thing about not divorcing. So the way it worked was, if a man decided that he didn't want you as a wife anymore, he would just say, you're done. You could have burnt the bread. You could have not shown up or made the bed. Whatever it was, it didn't matter. You're done. Well, unfortunately for women, once they have been married, they were used goods. And unless they had a man to take care of them, they would die. They had no recourse. In fact, it had gotten so bad that women were trying to avoid marriage at all costs because it was such a risky business. So that's what he's talking about. Not only can we not swear falsely, lie, we're not allowed to swear at all. So I don't know about you, but this seems a little over the top. I mean, who doesn't have bad thoughts? Who doesn't quarrel with others? Who doesn't get so angry they could just spit at times? And who doesn't enjoy a little eye-candy? Who doesn't swear oaths or make promises? Aren't we good enough if we don't actually act on these impulses? What happened to Jesus, the Jesus that was welcoming of all, wanting to give us love and joy and peace? Where is the nice Jesus? Because this one's totally out of touch with reality. His dictums are humanly impossible. But it is indeed the same Jesus who's loving us desperately and truly wants us to enjoy that peace and joy and love that he promised. And Jesus does understand our struggles as hopeless humans. Probably better than we do. He knows firsthand the mental and emotional ping-pong game we play with ourselves and how it hurts us. And Jesus wants to move us beyond the superficial and get right down to the core. Jesus wants to free our very souls. Like my friend who was continually tormented by guilt, angst, low self-esteem, and unhappiness, her failure did not stem from a lack of trying. Her failure and ultimately unhappiness was because she never addressed the root of the problem. Instead of cleaning out, she just rearranged. Instead of lightening her emotional load, she just repackaged it. She failed because she just addressed the outside. Now, I don't know about you, having had to do this recently, I find that cleaning out all our fine quality things, aka junk, that I've amassed over the years is really hard. Really hard. Facilitated by the emotional ping-pong we play, I might need it someday. Oh, this could be really useful. Oh, do you remember when we got this? What I really need is someone else to help me. Someone who loves me enough to not allow me to skirt the real questions, the core questions. When was the last time you used that? Why haven't you worn that in 6 months or 6 years? When was the last time you actually did that activity that you need these supplies for? And do you really think you're going to be doing it in the near future? I also need that same person to reframe the process. Couldn't someone else be using this right now? Aren't you denying someone an opportunity to enjoy it? Isn't it hoarding when you could be generous? Marie Kondo has made a fortune assisting people with these very questions. Well, Jesus is our spiritual Marie Kondo. Long before we deal with murder or adultery or false testimony, we have been wrestling with the core issue of disrespect for ourselves and for others. You know that whole, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself thing? Jesus is going to state that very simply in Matthew chapter 22, but he's still thinking about it. Jesus is sifting through our piles of mess to ask us if they are really helping us live as God intends, or if they're just weighing us down with guilt and angst and worry. And he uses some specifics that were appropriate to this particular group at this particular point. This pile of anger against others, are these resentments helping you, or are they baggage you keep hauling along with you everywhere you go? Are you bringing a dispute against another? Are you sure you want to leave it to a judge? Because that's permanent. Or do you want to negotiate one-on-one where you have the most power and most ability to have a positive outcome? As I said, men were divorcing their wives by whim, casting them out defenselessly, and taking another. It was wife roulette, actually. It was so bad that women did not want to participate. Is this novelty really serving you and society? Sounds good on the surface, but aren't you lacking the depth of relationship that brings true love and true joy? Is swearing by this or that any help to you? I mean, if I'm honest and true to my word should be enough. I don't have to find something else to swear on. Because you know what? I'm going to have to keep finding new things, depending on whoever I'm with. It sounds very complicated when you look at it that way. At first blush, it seems like Jesus is complicating our lives, but actually, he's cleaning out. He's simplifying them. We don't have to worry about all these rules if our hearts are in the right place. When we are focused on God and how God would like us to live, it gets so much easier. It really does. We don't have to get tangled up in a mire of rules and regulations and should you do this with this one and that with that one. Just treat others as you would like to be treated. And here's the best part. Jesus knows we can't do it alone. Knows that. And Jesus is as close to us as our next breath, as our next thought. Ready to ask us the tough questions and clean that culture out of our lives so we don't have to drag it around. Jesus is there to free us from angst and guilt and emotional ping pong, all that stuff we put ourselves through, and replace it with love and joy and peace that defies the world's standards. But in order to get that, we have to clean out the junk that keeps us prisoner. Bitterness, judgment of others, anger, jealousy, lust, disrespect for ourselves and for others, self-righteousness. But Jesus will help us. All we have to do is invite him in. And if we get lost, Jesus will come and rescue us, because he always does. Even if we do it time and time and time again, he's right there. So this week, won't you join me and invite Jesus into your life for a little spring cleaning? For only he can affect real lasting freedom. Anything else? Just rearranging furniture.